Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm Chris Castleman with the Citizen Council podcast. I'm here with my co hosts, Perry Holman and Brandi Martindale. How's it going, guys?
Hey, everybody.
Where's our name? Man, this out. Hold on, let me get this music off. It's blasting my ears. All right, there we go. Where'd our name tags go? I messed everything up from when I live streamed the Turning Point thing. But, anyways, thanks for being here.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Pretty good. Long day. Holy
Yeah,
smokes.
me and Chris had a long day. Perry, what did you do today?
I drove back home. That's pretty much all I did.
Where were you working
Long
today?
drive from Southeast Oregon.
Wow. Southeastern. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that much driving. I had to drive to Coquille today, and that was too much driving.
Out where people still wave at everybody.
Oh, there you go.
People brag about how inclusive Coos Bay is, and they don't know what they're talking about. You go to a small town, that's where people are friendly.
That's funny.
It's true.
There's our name tags.
All right. I forgot who
So
you
people-
guys were without them.
There you go. It's the little things that matter. Anyways, yeah, we had a county commissioner meeting today.
You want to talk about your
And,
experience, Chris? I want to hear how it went for you.
My experience.
Yeah.
Like at the meeting?
From your perspective, how did that go? Because I have some thoughts. As I've been mulling it over, I've had like more and more thoughts about it. And so I just kind of want to hear like, what did you take away from it?
I mean, it went exactly as I thought it would. I was not at all surprised. I knew 100% that would be the outcome. So for people who don't know, how do I frame this? So Coos Health and Wellness is sponsoring a mocktails, which are like fake cocktails, fake alcoholic drinks for a gay prom, an LGBTQ emo prom at the Pony Village Mall. Some private event. Coos Health and Wellness apparently is on a sobriety kick, and this is their way, they're framing it that they're helping kids not get into drinking alcohol. So they're gonna sponsor mocktails at this event. And some people were upset about it. I was upset about it just from purely a fiscal responsibility standpoint. It makes no sense that our government would be funding something like that. That is like bizarre. I mean, imagine if they didn't have the money for that and they had to do a mocktail levy. And they went in and put it on the ballot and asked people, would you like to fund mocktails at a private prom for gay emo kids? No, it would fail. It would fail like 90-10. It would never pass. No one would ever pay extra money for that. So anyways, so that was bizarre, and that's why people were upset. I mean, there were definitely people upset for other reasons. People said that it was immoral to even have an event like that. I just don't think it's people actually, the one thing people said is the government has no place determining morality. And that's not entirely true, because we determined that like murder is immoral, right? Or like molesting kids is immoral. Like the government does determine what is moral and immoral, or criminal or not criminal. And I guess
technically, it would be ethics versus morals, right? Because morals are our own personal code for how we live our life, and ethics are the codes that we agree to live by as a society.
Yeah.
Right? Am I understanding that correctly?
I think so. It was just like the premise was that the government shouldn't be deciding if this is right or wrong. And that's not true. Like the government does,
You're right,
and the
it's
government is us, by the way. We are the government. We get to decide what is right or wrong. And if you want this to be wrong, if you want a prom for gay kids to be wrong, then you'd have to get elected officials to agree and change the legislation in Oregon to make it part of the criminal code to hold an event. So that's like, for me, that's how you would have to go about it. you as a private citizen cannot just determine that an event like that is immoral and shouldn't happen, right? Just like you wouldn't want the
Right.
people on the other side to determine that a Turning Point event
Of
is
course.
immoral and shouldn't happen. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. But
Yeah, it's not,
um,
the moral thing is not really a great grounds for making an argument not to fund them. Just that
correct.
it's a social event and this is not a proven therapy methodology for minors. And man, the more I think about this, I'm concerned that on its, because as a habit change coach, right? Like that's literally what I do is I teach people to do different things. When people hit a roadblock and they're like, God, I just can't seem to get it down. That's where I step in. So I look at this behaviorally and it immediately raises red flags for me where I go, that I don't, is that a recommended modality? And it turns out that for adults, yes, for adults, substituting mocktails definitely does decrease drinking habits overall. Actually shows a long term, people learn to drink less. For young people, though, for minors, they actually found that it increased alcohol cueing behaviors. So it actually taught kids how to drink more effectively or more efficiently. And in some cases, they found that it did, in fact, drive interest to a significant amount, statistically significant amount. And I was surprised that no one working within Coos Health and Wellness or Oregon's, actually, I shouldn't say, I'm surprised by Oregon State because I don't expect much of them, but I do, hold Coos Health and Wellness in high regard. And I would have liked to have seen someone from Coos Health and Wellness saying, yes, actually, I'm working with a liaison and, and have really done their research and know what was going on, having seen the flyer. If Coos Health and Wellness's logo is going to be on something, that flyer should have been approved by like probably the executive director or whoever makes their PR calls. And I don't want to throw anyone under the bus because I do think that these people work really, really hard and they are trying to do the right thing. But I see where some oversight and some bad choices within that flyer caused an upset that totally didn't need to happen and really stress these kids out for no reason when it could have just been worded more appropriately and Coos Health and Wellness maybe not doing mocktails, or not
They
being
just
involved at
shouldn't.
all.
They just shouldn't be involved at all. It's obviously divisive. It doesn't, on its face, just doesn't make sense. And the fact that they keep trying to prove to us that it makes sense when you obviously have a room full of people that are divided half and half at the commissioners meeting. I mean, if I walk down the street today, you could ask people about this. Does it make sense? And you're going to get probably 50-50 mixed opinions on it. So like, that's not the collective good. If you take collected funds from everyone in the county, what would this be through, like state income tax, I guess, and federal income tax funds, Coos Health and Wellness, you're taking it from them. And this isn't a collective good to provide mocktails at a kid's prom, a gay
It's
prom.
very
It's like
frivolous.
too much.
Just
Doesn't make
so
any
here's the
sense.
other. I had a lot of questions for Coos Health and Wellness, and I was really disappointed that the commissioners didn't ask more questions. In what context are these beverages served? Because context matters. Is there a bar that the kids approach and order like they would in an alcohol establishment? Is there a bartender who serves them? Because these are all behavioral crimes. When I'm working with alcoholics, I literally break it down on a behavioral level where like your first step is to not go into the place where there is alcohol.
Right.
So, and I know my methods work. So like I know for a fact what I do works. And so I just question, there should have been more questions. Is it just a table where the kids come up and there's a bunch of ingredients and they're just mixing stuff together? Because don't call it mocktails, just say like mix your own punch. Like,
I think there were a lot of questions. There just weren't a lot of answers. Like the question was posed of like, why is it all ages? And do you remember Drew's answer, Commissioner Drew Farmer? His answer was that it was listed as all ages so that chaperones could attend.
That
Like, are
wasn't his
you
answer.
kidding
That
me?
was her answer. That was
Sure, but
not,
he
he was the
perpetuated it
middleman.
and he didn't hold her and he didn't say, like, look, that's not a real answer. That's disingenuous, right? Like, that's not that is such a fake, phony answer. Otherwise, you would see the high
That's
school
fair.
proms advertise that it's all ages.
That's fair.
There's no way that
I had the same
it
thing.
was because that there's so that chaperones. You would have written parents are encouraged to chaperone their kids, or parents are encouraged to attend to chaperone their kids. That's what you would do. And they did it. They said all ages. And it was like part of the whole marketing aspect of it. All
So
ages. Bullshit.
here's,
That's what that was.
I got a suggestion. Since Coos Health and Wellness's logo is on this piece of literature, I would say, how about they redesign their online literature, because that's really easy to redo those little ads. I have them, I make them, they're easy to change up. And they just go through and they create a flyer that reflects what they told us at the meeting today.
They won't, though.
So
Harry, go ahead. He's talking.
If they wouldn't, that would be worth pulling funding.
how is it worded for the drag show? Is it worded all ages?
Yeah, it says family friendly.
So that means it's worded all ages so the kids can have chaperones,
Right.
right?
It was bullshit.
If that's the definition, then they are having a drag show for kids in a way that they can have chaperones there with them.
None of it looks good. None of it looks.
That's what I didn't like about today. It's like we all got into the weeds. And I actually shouldn't even say me, because I really do think I gotta pat myself in the back for a second. I think I gave one of my most moderate, like,
You did good.
even keeled 2 minutes in a public meeting ever. But it was just everybody got into the weeds. Like, the left was like, oh my gosh, you guys are trying to cancel our safe space and you don't want us to be able to do this. And then that's not true. And then the right was like, you guys are immoral for having a gay prom with all ages, and the county shouldn't sponsor it. And it's like, the last part, yes, the county shouldn't sponsor it, but because you added all that extra in the beginning, now everybody's in the weeds, right? And arguing about stuff that we'll never figure out, we'll never agree on. So that's what I offered was a compromise, a solution. I spoke to all the commissioners about this prior, by the way, to try and see if there was any room to work, and there wasn't. Everybody had their mind made up. But the one number I was trying to get ahead of time was, how much does this sponsorship amount to? How much are these mocktails for this event? And no one would give me the answer. Drew said he had the answer, but I would have to wait till the meeting. And so they mentioned it at the very last minute. They said it was $200, that this sponsorship amounted to $200. Well, then you had the organizer of the event get up, and she gave a little speech, and she had her supporters raise their hand. She asked in the room how many people support having this event with mocktails. Right. And I counted about 40 people, which was a great number because 40 divides into 200 very easily. And it amounts to $5 for each of those 40 people. And this was what I gave in my 2-minute advice speech, which is all they had to do, those 40 people, was pony up $5 each, and they could have funded their own mocktails. They did not have to cause this mess, this confusion over whether the county is sponsoring the whole event, whether they agree with it, whatever. They didn't have to involve public funds. So they could have used $5 of their own money, which they probably all spent in gas and coffee, driving and getting up early to come to the meeting. So I offered, like, can you guys seriously donate $5 each? Or like just 10 of them could have donated $20, right? 10 people, $20 each would have been 200. And it would have been solved. Because I mentioned, like, if they cancel the sponsorship, half the room would have been pissed. If they kept the sponsorship, which they ultimately did, half the room's pissed. So that's not a solution. That doesn't solve anything. And when it comes up next year, what are they going to do? So that way they could have said, hey, look, we're not sponsoring stuff like this because it's clearly divisive. We don't like that in our community, but we still want to encourage you. Drew could have been the leader of the day, of the month, of the year. He could have said, Chris, that's a good idea. Are there enough people? Can we get a show of hands? Are enough people willing to donate and give the organizer some money to have this so that it doesn't have to come out of our county funds? Because there's clearly a
We could have
disagreement
turned
over
around
it.
and used that county money for something else.
Yep. Well,
and everybody would. That would have been the smart move because everybody would have ponied up right then.
I would have done it, but I don't think they would take my money. But well, then Drew, I didn't catch all of his thing, so apologies if I missed something in it. But I couldn't. I just could not listen to the whole thing for the life of me. But he mentioned he just did a live stream like 2 hours ago, and he brought that up. That people were saying, well, use the money for something else. Don't give them the money, use it for something else. And his argument is that the money is already taken from it, right? Like it's already taken out of your paycheck. And we already have it here at the county. So we need to use it. And if we don't use it, it goes back to the state and it's used in Portland. That's not true. Drew, if you're listening, that's a lie. It does not go back to the state.
Did he mean we have to use it for that? I think he just meant if we don't use it. But I think he was open to the idea of reappropriating the monies moving forward.
It still does it now. That's just bull crap. He needs to people, this is why we need different leadership, because we need leadership that would be able to admit a mistake and go, this is not good. This is clearly dividing the community. John actually did this. He said these things, but then he voted to keep it intact. And that's not a solution. It just really isn't.
It's very simple. It's very, so last night I looked into the mocktails quite a bit. And there's more than just a slight possibility that this will increase the chance of these minors to drink real alcohol. But even if it was just the possibility of that, what leader would say, yes, go ahead and continue on doing this? I am okay with saying, yes, we will have a percentage of these kids that drink these mocktails be pushed on to hard alcohol because of this specifically. That is perfectly fine with me. I am okay with putting your children in harm's way. I'm okay with doing that.
Well, they didn't even really acknowledge the fact that the data was different. Drew framed it as conflicting data, which I think is unfair. I think that Coos Health and Wellness presented incomplete data. They failed to present data on minors. And yeah, sorry, keep going, Perry.
So I use AI. No, I use AI as a starting point when I start looking into stuff, because they can search the whole web real quick and give you references real quick. Well, then you start reading the references and going through all that. Well, NPR, CNN, all of these people that the left treat as gods talk about how there's a very good chance this happens. So there's not much data on it from what I could find, but like in Japan and Australia and one other country, they've done some studies and it says that, yeah, it leads to drinking, but there's not all that much out there. But the fact that there is a chance, a decent chance, that it is true that it will do that is a problem. Coos Health and Wellness, who followed the science to a T with shots and COVID and everything else, turns a blind eye to the fact that there is a very good chance that it's going to put these children at risk. Hypocrites, they do what they want.
I generally, I support Coos Health and Wellness. I know they're trying to do good work in the community, but I do agree that they dropped the ball on this one.
I hear that a lot. Rod Taylor said that. Well, a couple of people say that. Or if we're talking about the assessor or the clerk, the sheriff's office, people always say they're really good people. They do really good jobs. And it's I believe Coos Health and Wellness budget is somewhere in the realm of 10 to 20 million. It's a lot. And it's Give Perry, Brandi, and I that amount of money. Wouldn't we do a lot of good in the community? So I just, it killed me every time I hear something like that, that like they do a really good job. Yeah, they're paid really well and they're given a big, huge budget. You know what? And we wouldn't fund mocktails at a gay prom and we would still get all the other stuff done.
Let me throw out a long game for you. Because I think, and this is, Chris, this is why you're going to laugh and I'll have to send you a video. So like you have to get the visual. What? Did you already get the video? Okay.
No, so I said, I'm already laughing. You're already making me laugh.
Okay. Because working with you is like dealing with a fucking racehorse. And like, that sounds like a compliment. And it kind of is. Like, you're very, very, very good at performing, but you are also, if you've ever watched a racehorse be handled, Google it. They're crazy. They spaz the fuck out. Excuse my language. They're wild animals. And so
you have that right.
I think what you're up against, Chris, is just pure exhaustion. I think people, because the left is actually known, this is like a known tactic, exhausting. And so I think what happens is people get literally worn down and they're like, this is over $200. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I think the long game here is we reach out to Coos Health and Wellness. We reach out to our commissioners. You say, listen, we need to get the mocktail situation under control. We need to make sure that this is set up as like a beverage buffet that is not mimicking alcohol and alcoholic environments. You know, we need to have someone there that's makes you like, let the kids pour their own and they can mix juices together or something if they want, right? But like, let's not set this up as a bar atmosphere or something to that degree. And then moving forward, we start working with the commissioners to, I don't know, do we want to doge Coos County? Like, do we want to look through everything that we're spending money on and really have a public conversation about what is for everybody?
Oh, I mean, people would absolutely love to do that, but right now we only have the support of 1 out of 3 commissioners for that. But yeah,
well, look at the long game. Look at the next coming year.
Yep.
You know, unfortunately, this isn't going to go away, and the juxtaposition between what we experienced on Thursday versus this is going to stay with me forever. I am deeply, deeply dissatisfied with certain individuals. And I don't know. I'm really, really unhappy with the way I've seen people treated from last week to this week. And I'm gonna.
Well, it's just insane. If we had mocktail if the Turning Point event had a featured
sponsored Bibles, Chris. What if they had sponsored $200 worth of Bibles?
Just even if it was straight up, you could get mocktails at the Egyptian Theater. Coos Health and Wellness is the featured partner of the Turning Point USA event. It would have been chaos.
And the lack of
commissioners meeting,
and
they would have lost their minds
for the way people were terrorized for going to this event. I have screenshots of people talking about staying home because they can't risk having something happen to them. That is not a choice. That is a decision made under threat, force, or coercion, and it is a civil rights violation. I have heard no one from the left talk about, wow, you guys really shouldn't have had to put up with that.
Yep.
I mean, the lack of compassion and empathy for people who are not like them.
They laughed when it was brought up today at the meeting.
I know.
When that was brought up, when that point was brought up,
people stayed home.
All of them. I watched all of them. I was in the back. We were told that
they were going to burn the Egyptian down with us trapped inside.
Yeah. Imagine if they said that like gay kids are nervous to go to school because of their sexuality, and we all just laughed at them. They'd be mad.
It's just the hypocrisy is outrageous.
Is what's even worse about the American values. I refuse to call it Turning Point because that's not what it was.
Right.
The sad part is that everybody out there protesting did not know what they were protesting. They didn't know what was going on inside. They did not know what was going to be going on. But they threw a fit, threatened lives, threatened buildings, threw bricks, all of this because of some made up false reality in their head. I didn't know it was being talked about. And I was a lot than any of these protesters were. So what were they protesting? They were not protesting what was going on inside that building because they did not know.
No.
Well, and now we know. So I live streamed the event in entirety. We lost you for a little there, Perry, or at least I did. I live streamed the event in entirety, and I talked about this last week in the live stream, or not last week. We didn't do one last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess. And I challenged them. I challenged them to come in and watch the presentations that were being given. And I said, I dare you to try and tell me what was racist or bigoted or evil or immoral
Worth
about
protesting.
anything. Yeah, what was so bad? Where was the indoctrination? They said we would be indoctrinating people. I mean, I'll be honest, it was a little churchy for me, and people could maybe make that argument that it was like indoctrinating from a church, it's too much Jesus stuff. But, as Brandi's pointed out before, Jesus saves people. Whether you believe or not, you have to recognize that the Christian faith has helped people through a lot of things in life. And maybe that is an answer, not maybe the answer, right? I don't want to say that and people will argue with me, but it's an answer. I think even if you disagree that it's the answer, you have to agree that it is an answer for some people. Anyways, I got into the weeds on that one. Oh geez. The point is that live stream was posted, it was live, and now it's been up the whole time. It's still up. I don't see photos photos. I don't see videos going around on the internet of the bigoted, hate, indoctrinating stuff that was said at the event. Do you? Have you seen? Have I missed it?
And you won't, unless
nothing. No,
because
it was pretty vanilla, to be totally honest. It was basically engage in discourse, get involved civically, and cultivate your relationship with Jesus. That was it. And they protested that.
Yep. And have nothing to say about it afterwards. They've watched it. I know a lot of the people involved in that protest, a lot of people in the Democrat Party have watched that, and they've got nothing to say. Nothing. No, they don't even have a way to edit it and make it look bad, because they would have done it.
They don't let the facts get in their way. They refuse to let facts get in their way.
That's true.
They just ignore them, and they will not defend their stance because they don't have a defense, and they just move on, and somehow that's okay. It's pathetic. It's I don't. There aren't enough words to describe
it. It's uncomfortable to be around. Yeah. Carol was saying that she's laughing at
me. Can you pull up
me? If you send me something, I can pull it up maybe. But yeah, no, Perry, it's like creepy to be around people who are just so you're like so one way about something, but when you replace the words, right? Like, or the thing with the sponsorship, if you replace who's getting the sponsorship, all of a sudden they would freak out. Like, that's crazy.
It is.
Like if in one of these planning meetings for this Turning Point event, someone came in, like Rob came in and was like, hey man, I acquired Coos Health and Wellness. They're going to sponsor drinks at our event. I'd go, really? That does not match our conservative values. That does not match anything that the government should be funding. That's not appropriate. I'd kick back on that.
But they have no moral compass. They have nothing that they live by consistently. Nothing other than
you're right. There's nothing consistent.
Agree with
that's my biggest gripe. And I think, like, for me, I need like frameworks. I just love, I don't know if rules is the right word, but like I love, guidelines, I guess. And they have nothing consistent that you can hold them to, because I mean, literally look at how we were treated on Wednesday or last Thursday. And they won't acknowledge what it felt like to be standing in line, having those things going through your head. They're going to burn the theater down, get their faces and license plates. while a guy walked up and down the line doing this with a camera, just far enough away to not be in trouble, but make sure he's zooming all the way around to get everyone's face. And he did that all night long. How would you feel if they did it to you? And not a single one of those people has acknowledged how awful that was to do to people. That's what I can't.
Well, they did it to Perry. Perry went up, they were projecting
and
something on the wall, and Perry went up and filmed them, and she freaked out.
And everybody needs
how
to
does
do
it
that.
feel?
Everybody needs to do that.
It looked like, and I have to say, it looks like Perry is like in her face with a camera, because you can't see the context of all of the cameras that were being put on other people. So you can't see that Perry was literally just doing what this guy was doing to every patron who stood in line, who entered the building all night long. How would you feel if you were part of the, sexuality identity group, and you were going to a place where they had been threatened and someone did that to you with a camera, when you had read with your own eyes someone saying, get their face and license plates, with the insinuation that like, we'll find out who they are. And of course, what are you going to do when you find out what someone is? That's covert intimidation. Obviously, it's abuse. And no one from the Democrats has stepped up to say, you know what, that actually is abuse, and I'm sorry you put up with that. And I can't respect that, man. When I stand up and say, absolutely do not go protest a bunch of gay kids trying to have it like a social event, do not go protest them. That would be awful. And these people want to say that they have morality over, like some kind of like ethical superiority over me, when they can't even show basic compassion that they would expect for themselves.
They don't have to hold themselves to the same standards they hold everybody else to. Simple.
That's hypocrisy.
And that guy ended up having the cops called on him by Egyptian theater staff, board members, while they were leaving, because he was making them feel so uncomfortable because he was following them to their cars and filming them. The cops had to come back to the theater and escort these people to their cars.
That's scummy. I hope people watch this show and watch this, and like, I would love to hear explanations from Democrats of why we deserve to have that done to us.
Because they have the right to. That's their answer. We have the right to do it. That means we will do it. Not that it's okay. Not that we would want it done to us, but they have the right to do it.
Where I'm like, bite your tongue, because the stuff I have a right to do. Mm-hmm. Don't say
it. They deserve it done to them. They really do.
I just,
I agree with you, but in a way, but then also like, man, where would we get if we're just all running around filming each other? That drives me nuts.
So it's not things like me with my camera and her actually grabbing, technically an actual assault, literal. She could have been arrested if I wanted to be a dick like that fucking ponytail fucking guy. She would have been arrested. I had it on video. She grabbed my phone and my hand. That's illegal. Filming things like that, getting things like that show exactly who they are, is what is needed. Not so much that they deserve it back to them, which they actually do, but that their reaction to the same types of events needs to be recorded and put out there for everybody to see.
Yeah. That was the intent of putting those cameras all around town. Man, I would need a team of 20 people to go through that footage, because I tried. Because there were some events that happened right in front of the cameras and I still can't even find it. There's so much footage. Anyways.
Can you talk about what happened the next night, your conversations the next night? Or not?
I don't know if I can. I'll think about it. I'm going to play a video that Brandi
Sorry.
That's me?
That's your spirit animal.
All right. One of them. Uh, is that the song in the background? Is that "Pants on the Ground" by that guy
I
from
have
American
no
Idol?
idea.
I think it is. Pants on the ground, hat turned sideways, acting like a fool with your pants on the ground. Anyways, and then I have another. Oh,
You threatened to do that at the Turning Point thing.
what's that? Oh yeah, I did. Well, some
Did
lady
you?
was sitting there on the sidewalk. Oh my goodness. Not sitting. There was like a group of four ladies. I just walked out of the theater to just get some fresh air, right? And I'm like, what is going on, guys? Um, anything going on out here? And then everyone's like, no, everything's good. But I see a group of four ladies standing on right outside, and they were like looking on their phone. They kind of like looked like they were waiting for something. So I assumed that they were like waiting to like find their ticket on the phone, that maybe somebody had told them like, hey, we can't find you on the list, can you bring up your ticket on the phone? That's what it looked like to me. So I just asked them nicely. I go, hey, are you guys looking to come into the event? And they were like, excuse me. I was like, I was wondering if you guys, do you have tickets? Like, were you wanting to have, we have extra tickets, like, are you looking to come into the event? And they're like, no. And I'm like, whoa,
They're
okay.
mean.
And I was like, well, then what are you doing? And they're like, we're just standing here, obviously. And I go, okay, are you like interested in the event at all? They're like, absolutely not. And I'm like, oh, so you're like protesting? And they're like, no, we're just standing here. It was just like a really weird interaction. And they started getting really upset with me, as if I was like asking them to leave, and I wasn't. I literally thought they were trying to find tickets on their phone. Anyways, so it just escalated one from 0 to
It's
100
just
immediately.
miscommunication.
And they were yelling at me saying they have the right to be there. I'm like, you have the right to be here, but it also looks incredibly weird, and you're being incredibly rude for no reason at all.
The
And
rudeness
there
is
anyway,
something I've come across a lot. I've tried to talk to people and they just like shut down. It's
it was
weird.
crazy.
Like
Well, and they're like, what's your problem? And I'm like, I don't really have like, it's just you guys are being rude and weird. That's all I'm trying to point out, is like, you don't have to be acting like this. And they were like, well, we're allowed. It's our right. And I'm like, okay, well,
that
I
is
guess I
weird.
could just because I could just pull my pants down and take a crap on the sidewalk, right? Just because we have the freedom to do whatever we want, right? And they were like, why would you do that? And I'm like, exactly. That would be weird, wouldn't it? And they were like, you just said you were going to pull your pants down. And it was like, oh my gosh. So I don't know, maybe a weird example, but I was trying to think of the weirdest example so they would get it, that just because you can do something doesn't make it normal or rational. Anyways, so that a good story, Perry? You made me tell that
You didn't
story.
finish it though.
What? Oh, and then because I don't want to say the F word. And then they kept getting more and more mad at us. And like, we were just minding our own business, really. I mean, I guess we could have all left and gone inside, but it was just, back and forth, back and forth. They said that they're like, you just hate women, don't you? And I'm like, whoa, what?
Did
That
this
was
happen
out of
right in front of the
nowhere.
theater?
Yes, right outside the doors. And I'm like, why would you think that I hate women? How did that come out of like knowing me? You don't even know me. Anyway, so it just went on and on like that for a little bit. Well, then I guess one of the four women was actually like a teenage kid, boy or girl, I don't know, but he or she just like looked at all of us and was like, well, I can't say the word. I don't want to say the word on there, but can I? I guess
Yeah,
I
it's
could
not
say
you saying it.
they were like,
You're quoting.
she just goes, faggots. And it was like, whoa, what? Why
Oh,
would
you
you
guys
say
got that
that?
on video, didn't you?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes no sense. And I would assume these people are from the left. I would assume they're all about LGBTQ rights and not being bigoted against those groups. So why would you use it as a swear word, as an insult that's beyond me? And we all just kind of went, what the heck? Yeah,
I think the
weird.
left is full of bullies.
I
And I
mean,
think
and
that
all this
because,
started because I was inviting them into our
yeah,
event.
Well, if you're
I was
standing
going to
right
give them free
outside the
ticket.
theater and you're having an event, that would be the assumption is that you have
Right.
come inside.
Empty seats. I was going to give them free seats.
Yeah.
Insane.
This is what these interactions produce. They produce who these people really are. And people really do, they need to start recording more of it because you can't hide from it.
Yeah.
Right. Like me telling that story, right? People might not believe me. It might sound like I'm leaving some of it out, but I think Perry has that interaction, or at least some of it. You were standing off to the side for the beginning part of it.
Oh,
Maybe,
you
I
guys
don't
have
know,
put the video out, haven't you?
like the edited end of it where he just yells that F word. But
Mm-hmm.
it would have, if I should have had a body cam on all night, that would have been great. Because the first 30 seconds of that interaction were so bizarre. My jaw was on the floor. I'm like, I just don't know why you guys are mad at me. Maybe they knew who I was ahead of time and they had a preconceived notion about me. I don't know, which
You know
is
what,
weird.
Chris? I've met a lot of people that I had a negative preconceived notion about, and I know I don't treat people that way. That's another,
Yeah.
I can't justify the rudeness, the unwillingness to communicate authentically without the use of like covert stuff. It's the like you're the enemy. Like they treat you like you're the enemy, and it's like, gee, we're just asking for basic boundaries around stuff. Like no one is demanding anything outrageous. It's just basic boundaries. But
I did want to touch on something. So if you Google search the First Amendment, look up the actual wording of it, because there's a lot of misconceptions about this.
yes.
I think I talked about it on one of our other shows, but the First Amendment does not give you the right to protest. I'm almost positive there's no right
the
to
right to
protest
protest is a
anywhere in the
combination.
contest.
Nope.
It's
It's a
the right of
combination.
the people peaceably to assemble. Like you have the right, you have freedom of speech, you can redress grievances, you can peaceably assemble, but there's no like right to block a road or to scream and yell in people's faces or to intimidate. Like those are not things. Like they might not be criminal. Like I don't think yelling in someone's face or like, I mean, I kind of think blocking a road should be, but you know what I mean? Like people go around, we have the right to protest. We have the right. No, you don't. Peaceably to assemble is the
other thing
phrasing.
that really gets overlooked is that right to protest was, and that freedom of speech, those were aimed at the government. That's your right to criticize the government. That's not your right to harass private citizens. And that right to protest is the right to protest against the government. It was never
Right. It protects
meant to
the
be
people from
weaponized
being
against US citizens, like individual private people.
right. It
It's
protects us
weird.
from the
It's a weird,
government saying you
yeah.
can't assemble peaceably.
Yes.
And if you guys, if people on the left, if you're watching this, think of it from our perspective. You know what we were trying to do last week with our events for Turning Point and the American Values Tour? We were trying peaceably to assemble. We wanted to assemble a group of people that shared our values and put on an event for them in a peaceful manner. We did accomplish that, but it was kind of hard to do with you guys around. You
They
were
made it
infringing on
uncomfortable.
our right to peaceably assemble, and your
When they-
intent was to not allow us to peaceably assemble, which is a violation of our rights. So I really didn't appreciate that.
Disrupting an event I mean, they made it known all over the internet.
Yeah.
And disrupting an event is not a peaceful assembly.
Correct. They
That's
acted like it was
wonderful.
their right to be there to bother us, which is like
Right.
the logical disconnect that you have to get to think that you're like more righteous than we are for doing that. Like people like were kind of virtue signaling, like thinking they were really cool that they did this. Like that was the whole vibe from that protest. I mean, the world newspaper put out a whole article about the protest, not about our event.
That's wild. I wonder,
like it's
do you
indie
think-
to have gone to this protest.
do you think if there was a massive protest of the Pride Parade or the Pride Prom, and all that drummed up. Let's say the tables were turned and people threatened to burn the mall down, encouraged people to get pictures of license plates and faces. How do you think that, like, you know what I mean? If the shoe was on the other foot, but it seems like it's impossible for them to imagine what that's like for the other side.
Equal standards across the board. Just keep saying it. I mean,
I feel like our
simple.
whole show is just about exposing the hypocrisies. And I'll give an open invitation to somebody from the left. If you want to come on the show and expose our hypocrisies that we don't apparently know about, I'm sure we have one or two.
Honestly, Chris,
there's got to be some hypocrisy that like we live and breathe. But please, somebody come on and show us.
The problem is a lot of these people don't care about actual collaboration. They are setting off bombs as for attention. I'm really not impressed with any of like a lot of what has happened in the last couple of weeks. The stuff that has been done just for the look at me factor is so when you do that, you're opening the door for people who have no genuine interest in engaging in a real intellectual debate. They're there to smear shit on the walls and say, look at the art I created. And I don't know that we have to be very selective with who we choose to, I'll put it that way, because I'm not going to give my time away to every screaming narcissist that wants to have a manic episode on film.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'm holding out for a few of them that they can like see the error in their ways. We'll see.
I'll trust your judgment. We'll see. Like I said,
I don't mind people having opposing views. It's just like, you got to be constructive about it. You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff people do is just not constructive. Like I just don't see the constructive nature of last week's protest. Like, unless your purpose was to scare the shit out of a bunch of people so they wouldn't attend, then I guess congratulations, you succeeded. You also wasted a crap ton of tax dollars for all the various police agencies that were there. Do you know that there were teams, like SWAT teams, hiding in buildings nearby, ready to go? See how much that costs for people to travel out of the area, all that overtime. They were there earlier in the day setting up. I mean, hordes of law enforcement, which is like great training exercise. But man, the amount of money that just got dished out for that. And they would not have been there if we had that event on our own. Like if it was just our event, if I had an event tomorrow showing Bambi to 700 conservatives and it wasn't protested, there would not be police. So the police were only there because of the things that were said from the other side about the protest and what they will, I guess, essentially the demands.
Yeah.
They were demanding that this event not happen.
It's really not fair to blame the high profile event for the level of security, because these people weren't actually that high profile of people. I guess Mo Bannon is maybe extra security might have been needed for her. That would be fair. But, we have musicians come in and there are events and stuff that don't require that intense level of like security scrutiny. And yes, I have not
seen anything in Coos County has ever needed that much security. That was insane. Do you see some of the videos? Or like, were you there at the end when a lot of the cops came out of the other buildings and stuff, and they were all standing there in a group?
They came from nowhere.
It was like 50 people, like 50 uniformed law enforcement officers. Yep. Pretty amazing.
I wonder how many of them would have attended the event if they didn't have to work.
I mean, from what I was told, that there were people inside, like not in uniform. So they got to see the event. Yeah, I don't know. It was just, by the way, I said amazing. What I meant is amazing in the sense of like, not that it was cool. I don't think it was cool at all that there was that much.
Impressive.
Yeah. Even that word is sometimes is just misused. It was shocking. It was like, wow, like that's like, you know, anyways, I don't know.
Alarming,
Drawing a
maybe.
blank.
It didn't feel good to have our neighbors create a situation where that it felt like that. Um, and still no accountability. And like you said, they kind of, when that got brought up, they kind of laughed.
Yep.
And the disregard for how they affect other people. It's just, man, isn't it a slap in the face? Isn't it just gobsmacking? Maybe it's my experience leaving the left and just seeing it now, like fully from the other side, where they actually treat me like I'm not one of them. Maybe that's the juxtaposition that I am like having this, I don't
Well, it's
know.
like the fight here on the Republican Party side. If you don't go along with their, secret agenda, that's also not so secret, then you're not one of them, right? If I'm not going along with the establishment GOP, then I'm
Right,
apparently not one of them, you know.
right.
So that's what you're dealing with.
That's so
I
fair
do.
too, because I think most Democrats actually in Coos County that are not caught up in the sexuality and identity hysteria are actually, I'm getting along great with them and collaborating fantastic with them. And I'm having more and more people reach out to me. And so I guess part of my calm comes from this knowledge of like what's going on in the background. And I see a lot of this as noise and maybe even a few death rattles, because this is a really specific group of people that are not representative of a lot of voices here in Coos County. Thank goodness.
Yeah, especially on like issue, like if you bring up transgendered issues, go door knocking, go talk to like your everyday Coos Countyan. It's People don't support that. That like boys and girls locker rooms, weird. Um, I got to ask you, Brandi, because you're running for commissioner, and there was like a vote today, controversial vote. If you were up there and you were given the opportunity to make today's decision, make that vote, what would your vote have been?
100% would have voted to revoke it.
Okay. So if
I
you
would have
were up
voted
there
with
and
Rob.
Rod was up there, it would have been revoked.
Absolutely.
All right, fair enough.
Now that being said, I support the gentleman in their decision to not revoke it. I can't say I'm not in their shoes. I'm not them. Frankly, maybe John just doesn't want to deal with it because he's in his 80s and exhausted. I don't know. I would have voted no. Let's revoke it, but let's make sure that the messaging that the money gets there. Let's make sure that Coos Health and Wellness is still able to get in. Let's make sure that private people come together to make sure that they have their beverage buffet where they can maybe do something like that. I would go for something like that. But no, where there is stuff like sexuality centered, because it did kind of bother me that they did try to reframe this as it's open to all people. This is an event that centers sexuality. And so that got downplayed. I didn't appreciate that, but all of this taken into consideration, the context of the event is not an appropriate use of tax dollars, and I can't get behind it. I can get behind some of the uses like they're using it to teach a mixing a mocktail class for adults at the library. That's open to all adults, or it was a competition. Then they're doing something for older adults, but this is age appropriate spending. I would not get behind. It's a social event. It's a social event. It's not an event for the public put on by the government, like where we would give the library $200 to, or have, somebody come in and
Well,
host.
they kept bringing up all these other events that they've done this mocktail thing to promote sobriety, and it was just like so disingenuous because in the same meeting they talked about the county fair. And if you guys were really trying to promote full sobriety and that was like your mission, why wouldn't you just ban alcohol at the fair?
Right.
Like you run your own fair.
You're just giving away
So
free stuff.
like this is so I got the full contract from Drew, by the way. It's 164 pages. And I looked through it to find where this whole mocktail thing even originated. Why is it irrelevant? And I know this is a lot of text on the screen, but people, if you look at
The
the
thing is,
highlighted portion,
so
this
Chris, one
is
thing I want to mention, I really want to start encouraging these organizations to look outside of government funding. And that is, I
oh
just
for
want to
sure.
add to, like, with a no vote comes with, that's not a no against you. That's a no in support of you in a different way. And that's the message that I want to get through is there is a more appropriate way to continue to support you folks. Now, outside of the funding, I don't think that whether or not they should have an all ages prom and things like that, that's not, I don't think that's within the commissioner's scope to comment on.
Right. It should never even been in that meeting. It should never have been a conversation,
Yeah, but
which is my
I just want
disappointment
to
in
say,
the
like,
commissioners that they didn't avoid this. It should. So a couple of us were carbon copying on some of the emails that originated like a week or two before this thing even came to a vote. And it could have all been settled there. Could have been like, yeah, this definitely doesn't make sense. This is not something we should be supporting with taxpayer dollars. Let's not do that. That's this. It could have been that easy. But anyway, but this is what they referenced. They said this is the contract for Coos Health and Wellness with the state. This is part of the contract. It's about alcohol, tobacco, and drug-free alternatives. It's this program called ADPEP is the acronym, Alcohol and Drug Prevention and Education Program. Anyways, if you read it, it doesn't say give mocktails to kids. It says they're required to organize activities that exclude substances. And then it gives example, and that's it. Organize activities that exclude substances. So why don't you guys organize the fair and exclude substances? And you'll probably get a bunch of slack from that. But if you believe in this, that this is your mission, then you'll do it. And they give examples, though. They say youth leadership and community service projects that support policy strategies and goals and mentoring programs. They don't say swap out cocktails for mocktails. It says, why don't you guys put on good events that promote things other than falling prey to alcohol, tobacco, and drugs? They promote youth leadership, community service oriented projects. That's very different than just saying, hey guys, continue on your path in life, but just drink
so
like
mocktails are not
recommended
by the state, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not. It's not in this contract. There's nowhere is it mentioned, suggested anything. And nowhere does it say partner with groups that are already doing these things. It says organize your own activities.
I really like this mentoring programs. I would really like to see them take that money and maybe put it towards coaching materials, maybe access to, you'd have to ask people, go and ask addicts and people who are recovering what best serves them. Or organizing things that are, and that was the other thing that was framed to me because I was citing this, and then it was, well, this wasn't organized to be that kind of event. It wasn't organized to be a health event. It wasn't organized to be a supporting sobriety event. They just happened to have this. I got so many mixed messages from people.
Because it's not their true intent. Yeah. Like, look, I'll just be honest with everybody. My conclusion after talking with all the commissioners, reading this contract, listening to the testimony, watching the discourse back and forth, watching Drew's message before and after the meeting, they don't want to get funding for this. They don't want to have mocktails at a prom. That's not what this is about. This is about normalizing this sort of thing. It's about forcing it upon the public. They wanted the Coos Health and Wellness logo on their event so it looks like the whole county approves of something like this. And it's disingenuous, it's false, it's misleading, and that's not a direction we should go in as a society, that you should capture a government entity, capture the government brand, and use it for your own agenda and your own purposes. It's not path we want to go down. And that's, I
Hey,
really truly feel that that's what was going on. It has nothing to do with mocktails.
that it was branding. That's a really great segue to something that I wanted also to say. People, please do not give the businesses that also sponsored this gay prom a hard time. Their businesses just trying to get by, and they wanted to support what they see as probably kids just having an alternative safe event for themselves. And I've seen a couple of comments floating around. One of the things that really disgusts me about the left is the way they come after businesses. And I'm a big fan of vote with your wallet. I do that fairly privately. Like I've made some videos coming for Target and stuff like that. But when it comes to small businesses, I would just say that because they did put the business logos on there as well to kind of bump up that support, that image of support, right? And so those businesses are prominently featured there. And I would just really encourage people to please continue to be respectful to those businesses and not give them a hard time. They don't deserve that.
I will half agree. Definitely don't give these businesses a hard time. Don't be an asshole. But I will not get behind any business owner or person that thinks that the all ages gay prom sponsored by the government is a good idea.
They probably agreed to it before they saw the flyer. And there's a good chance that they might have been kind of buffaloed about what it was going to be too.
Buffaloed. That is such a good word.
Right?
People were buffaloed.
We don't know what line they were fed.
But there's always excuses too.
What's that?
True.
There's always excuses though. I mean,
that's true. That's true.
The bottom line is their business logo is on that flyer.
You mean you don't believe that it said all ages so that they could get chaperones there? You don't believe that?
That was.
I do.
That's a load of buffalo shit.
And I believe it for the drag show too.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand why they want to perform for kids. Because, like, here's the thing. I lived in New York for 8 years. You guys, I went to parties that would have made everyone in that room blush. Like, I've been to the real drag shows at drag
like burlesque
clubs.
Drag.
They were, intense. Lots of fun to be had. I don't know where the idea that this should be introduced to children came in. That's a connection that I can't make in my head.
Like, if you think that it makes sense, then there's something wrong. I don't know. Like I'm a runner, right? I'm a runner, and I've run in college. I've run my whole life. So short shorts is a totally normal thing for me. But like, I was a track coach once, and I showed up first day in my short shorts, and I never did it again. I went and bought longer shorts because I was like, that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Those kids probably thought I was very strange, and I don't want my kids to the kids I'm coaching to feel uncomfortable, right? So like that, right? Like, is that a good example? Like, there are just things in life that, like, just because you do it and it makes sense to you and feels normal to you, does not mean it's appropriate for everyone,
right?
In every situation.
But
And
they have the right
the
to.
fact that they don't see that.
They have a right to.
That's my point. Right.
Actually, you do have a right to be naked in public in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
You do, as long as you're not touching yourself or being sexual. I don't get it. It's weird.
I mean, that would be an interesting counter protest. One of these Saturdays to just have about 100 people strip down buck ass naked and go walking down the boardwalk. I bet you do that a few Saturdays in a row and you clear it out.
I'll do it if you can get 50 other people to do it.
I couldn't do it.
I'm serious. And I'm sorry for the town that would have to see that. No, we've talked about stuff like that, like for the library, because the library apparently with Oregon's policies, like you can view any content on those computers at the library. And Rob and I were going to do a sit-in where we just sit there and put porn up on the screen. But then we were like, see, our rational minds kicked in, and we were like, that's not appropriate.
Wait,
So
what was the
we're not-
context here? Give me the start again.
The libraries, right? There's like books in the library that are like not good for kids. right? And we were pushing back on that, saying like, these are pornographic books. These are not really appropriate, and they're available for anyone to just grab off the shelf. Can you please have them behind the counter? People can still check them out, but at least there'd be a barrier, so they're not just like, 10-year-old Timmy goes, oh, look at this, right? Well, anyways, they went down this whole rabbit hole that essentially that's allowed, that they're not allowed to censor that stuff. They're not allowed to remove it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, if there's a firewall on the computers, like if I go to a porn site on these computers, you do censor that. And they go, actually, we if you came to us and insisted on watching something, you are allowed to watch it as long as you're not performing any acts causing a disturbance. You are allowed to watch it on the computer. And I went, really?
Why do we let people? Why?
It's insane.
What is what's the?
There's an
There has
exemption
to be
in
a
the
constitutional
ORS.
right or something.
No, it's just Oregon. So it's like essentially if I gave like a kid on the street a pornographic magazine, that's a crime, right? That's not okay. That's an actual crime.
Right.
But there's exemptions in the Oregon state law for schools and libraries. They are allowed. They're not that they're allowed. They're exempt from that criminal code. Isn't that nuts? So I don't think there's any schools out there that are just handing out pornography to kids. I don't. But it was over content in the library, and I was like, well, why can't you do a firewall like you do for the computers? The computers have a firewall. Why not have a firewall where it's just like a book binder? It's not the actual book, or it's like a slip, like a movie, like Blockbuster, right? Remember Blockbuster? You go in, you didn't have the actual, like, you went and got the case, and then they gave you the video. Anyways, so they said no. Like, oh, we can't do that. That's censorship. It's crazy. But Rob and I thought it would be funny to prove them that this is insane, that we would just sit there and for hours watch porn on the computer and not touch ourselves, just watch it. And then we were like, no, that's insane. We're not going to do that. So.
And you stopped and thought about how like ungodly awful that would be.
Yeah, it's just, but how else it's like, why are we not living in a world where the librarian just goes, hey, Chris, that is a good idea. We should pull those off the shelves. They're clearly shocking books. They tried to explain that there's educational value in it. I think I did a show on these books early on, one of our first podcasts. But it's insanely graphic, disgusting images in like a comic book and stuff. Anyways, just why not just pull it and have it behind the counter? It doesn't prevent anybody from getting it, but it prevents that like accidental, oh my gosh, what am I looking at book. Same thing with rated R movies. Like, I don't think any kid should just be able to rent rated R movies. You can't buy them at Walmart if you're 12, but apparently you can rent them at the library if you're 12.
Safeguarding matters. Again, I go back to the mental topography. Little minds, when they're first developing, and they haven't been around the world much, there's not that much on there. So the things that get placed on the mental topography are big. You don't want those big things to be weird shit like sex fetishes.
But once again,
or do they?
That only matters in certain topics. It just depends on the topic. Oh, we can't do that with children because we don't like them smoking. We don't need to be forcing all this. But we can have them look at all the sex they want all day long.
And violence.
And on the topic, it's okay to do, according to them.
It really does, like, we know the negative effects. Like, the literature is out there, the research is out there. That's one of the things that really bugs me about people that cite research, because it seems like they're so proud of what they know that they don't know what they don't know, and none of them have a clue how to read a methods section. None of them have any idea how to extrapolate data. None of them have any idea what regression analysis means or confounding variables, but they spit this crap like they know what they're talking about. And it's just like,
and in the age of AI, with that capability, if maybe you're not a mathematician, but you can use tools that help you, it's wild.
Imagine a world where everybody did what they wanted when they wanted, and that's the no restrictions. Don't break the law, but do anything you want, anytime you want. People running around like these freaks, doing whatever they want because they have the right, on all sides now.
They
It's
want
crazy
that
to
right
think about.
though, but they don't want you to have that
Yeah,
right.
I don't
Right.
see
Right.
conservatives really. Conservatives are literally like conservative in that their behavior is more controlled and they're more like measured. More restrictions or more, decorum or something, I guess. Composure.
Sometimes, except on January 6th. We got a little wild.
I have, you know what? I do
We gotta
not.
go.
I don't believe. I don't know what to believe on all that. I still think that the federal government was involved in causing that whole thing. I don't know. Is that like a mainstream conspiracy theory?
At this point, yeah. I also do know that there's just a bunch of crazy patriots that were mad and went and did some really dumb things on that day. So, like that was embarrassing. But
It is
not
wild how
everybody
much.
there did it, and it wasn't Donald Trump's fault. But anyways,
It's the media. The media kind of like whips people up into this fervor, and then they do really stupid stuff. And I wish that our news media would take more responsibility. Something that I was talking to someone about today was giving your attention to what you'd like to see increase. And again, going back to the world newspaper, focusing so much on the protests. This is the second time recently that they have run a story on the protests. And it really does speak volumes about where Nate's head is at when he reports on the protest and not even the event that the protest was about. Like the event isn't even worth telling people, residents about. That feels crappy. And I notice it. I'm sure other people notice it.
well, we're growing a movement here, and I think in the near future we'll start our own publication. I'm hoping something to counter that sort of crap from the world, and we'll be able to get information out there about what that event was more easily, get it out to the masses. I mean, we have a website for the conservative movement. It's cooscountyconservatives.com. cooscountyconservatives.com. And I put a news article out there, and there's a link to the live stream so people can see. Yeah, we're doing something here. What I was driving here and I saw a big flock of birds over the bay flying, like all in formation, and it was like, we're starting to do that, and that's not a normal thing for conservatives. Like this morning at that meeting, did you notice that a lot of people in that room were the same organizers for the Turning Point event? I mean, we had like 15 of us there who were helping out with the events from last week, who instead of taking the week off and going, man, last week was exhausting, they were like, nope, we're going to still do it. We're going to go to this commissioner meeting. Because normally, by the way, a topic like that, you would have seen the same presence from the left that was there today. But from the right, it would have only been about 5 of us.
Okay.
Maybe 5, maybe 10.
I think
And it would have
people
been
are
the same people.
People are realizing that if you don't do politics, someone is going to do politics to you and your family.
Yep. And your whole dang town.
It's becoming clear that people can't just leave other people alone. And
well, it's cool. No, we worked today and got a bunch of people there. It was pretty even, right? You'd say like the room was 50-50. That's not normal at a commissioner meeting for a topic like that. We usually are way outnumbered.
I feel like when I say stuff like people just leave people alone, I feel like people from that meeting would have been like, yeah, just leave us alone. And it's like, yeah, don't spend our tax money and we will.
Right.
Well,
there's a simple solution to that, not do it.
Yeah. Aside from the money thing too, listen, if the public decides to have a problem with these all age, like commingling adult themes and children, that's on the community to have an issue with. And I foresee that coming. I think people are seeing the negative. We've been spoon-fed all of this data telling us that like these modalities of treatment, these kinds of safe spaces, these interventions, that they've all been all positive. And now we're starting to get data coming back that this stuff isn't all positive actually, and that reintegration should actually be the goal. And so while these safe spaces are great and, you know, we want people to enjoy them, the goal should not be us versus them, where like that young girl having this emotional reaction of like, you're against us. They're just against us. Because we're not. And
well, they used a survey. That remember the teacher stood up. She said she's a teacher at the school, and they did a survey of the students, and these are the results, and they're shocking. A lot of these students are being affected by stuff like this, right? Right? It was like they were being bullied and scared and all that. And Drew even mentioned like he's looking at the results and he's like, wow, these are shocking. Well, somebody texted me after the meeting and they said, that was my kid's teacher. And I talked to my kid. She didn't take that survey and neither did any of her friends in that class. So it was obviously taken from
can
a
you get
segment
him to
of the
go public
population.
with that?
I think they will, yeah. But I mean,
That's
this
worth
again, this is the
calling out.
weeds, but it's like, right? Like it's been online. It's that survey that was put out by, I believe, the Oregon Health Authority, and it was asking a bunch of really bizarre, inappropriate questions, or at least half the state felt it was inappropriate, and people were telling their kids like not to take that. They were asking the schools to make sure that there was a permission slip from parents to be able to take that survey. So for her
Okay.
to stand up there and present that as like a unifying survey that all the students in our class took, that's bullshit.
So
That's
Chris,
misleading.
you'll need to stand up and make that point clear. I would really appreciate or encourage anyone that has more information, if that gentleman you know would like to reach out to Drew, because Drew is good with data. If you explain to him the confounding variables, the things that are unaccounted for, like he'll get it. You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah.
no, his politics trump everything. His need for votes
I'm Debbie Downer over
for
here.
certain people trumps everything.
Brandi, I appreciate that you are trying to see the good and the hope and the future in people, but yeah.
Proven.
Well, I'm going to have to work with him. You know what I mean? And so
proof that mocktails have a very likely opportunity to harm children.
Yeah.
And it was laid out, and he still said, no, I'm still going to do it because these people I support blindly 100%, no matter what goes on. That is not rational. That is not a leader. That is doing things for your political gain, nothing else.
I don't know that any of them really, because
it's explained. It was explained. People aren't stupid. They're not stupid commissioners.
I actually, Perry, that's where I disagree with you. I think and I'm not saying the commissioners are stupid, but I don't actually think people are. I do think that there's like a little bit of like a cognitive processing that needs to happen over like where they have to actually let it sink in and be like, okay, weighing, they've given, because they heard data coming from this side and data coming from that side, and no one really got to stand up and really grill Coos Health and Wellness and say, what is the atmosphere going to be set up? How are they going to be served? Like, no one got to ask these, like when they said, well, we have this data coming from the Oregon Health Authority, no one got to say that data is about adults, not minors. And yes, the commissioner should have asked those questions. So your criticism is liaison. It's fair. It's fair. I don't have any.
To ask a question in AI, get some references to look at, look at them. How much of a piece of shit commissioner do you have to be to not spend a little bit of time to research it? Because the question is asked, will this harm kids?
I mean, let's just be real. Drew was always going to support this. He's a LGBTQ ally. I don't know what the hell that means, but he is. And he's going to support it. He's never not going to support it. His people that got him elected would have lost their minds, no matter what reason he would have given if he shot this down. If he said, no, we're not going to fund this mocktails, they would have lost their mind. And I have a book suggestion for Mr. Farmer. It's JFK's book called Profiles in Courage. It's a very short book. You can read it before bedtime, probably, or it's I believe 8 short essays about people throughout history who faced moments like this, much bigger moments than this, but moments where you had to kind of just stand up for what made sense and what was right, even though it didn't make sense for you politically. It didn't make sense for your career, your political career. In most cases, it ended their political career. But JFK goes through and he profiles 8 people who faced moments like this and came out on the other side with some principles still intact. And
children are
yeah,
the most vulnerable out of everybody and are supposed to be, by decent human beings, the most protected. Just the possibility that this was going to put children at risk, everybody should have automatically said no. If you're a decent person with any kind of moral compass whatsoever, you would say no.
Yeah, this should have been an easy no for people. It should never even
guys
gotten
know
to a
if-
commissioner meeting.
Something just an afterthought. Do you guys know if canceling this agreement for this event would have required they cancel the agreement in totality for the other events as well?
No. This was no like contract with, like there was no contract between Coos Health and Wellness and these event organizers. There was no like there's no application process for these mocktail sponsorships. I mean, it is just simply a program that they do where they go around to various community events and they provide mocktails. It's as simple as that. It's part of their, like the contract, I believe, from the state for that particular like drug and alcohol prevention program is somewhere in the realm of like $20,000. So like they have a budget that's earmarked for things like this, and they can use it as long as it meets the criteria. Well, in this case, there are requirements that they use the money for this, but not mocktails. It's drug and alcohol prevention. So again, like a leadership program, or just this didn't make any sense, guys. Like we all know this. Everybody watching this show, I hope, knows that. Like Brandi, I know you're smart. If you're commissioner someday and something with this even remotely came across your desk, you would look at it and you'd go, "What are we doing? Why would we do that?"
Well, I would do a crap ton of research into it.
But you would know before you even research. You'd go, "Look, this stinks." Like,
right.
I prepared a speech for this meeting, and then I was like, come on, like no one wants to listen to you. I was like, make it shorter. And I was like, what's the shortest I can make it and surprise people and just say like one sentence? And I was going to walk up to the mic and just go, whose dumbass idea was this? Because really, that's my sentiment. Like, we don't have to get into all of this.
I'm so glad you didn't do that.
But seriously, right on its face, whose dumbass idea was this? It was a dumbass idea. Look, everybody's annoyed, upset, mad at each other. No one won. There was no winning. People clapped at the end like they won something. What did you win? A more divided community?
I clapped out of respect for the people that got their way, and like good for them.
Good for them. They get to put their children more at risk of becoming alcoholics. Good job. They win.
Basically,
right there.
Like
crazy.
But they completely don't see it that way at all. And God, it's so petty and stupid, and it's so small-minded that it just never even should have passed
small-minded people.
The director's desk at Coos Health and Wellness.
Yes.
It just never should have gotten out of Coos Health and Wellness. This should have been vetted and been like, this is, and that the flyer itself should have been an obvious, this is inappropriate. Like, structure and the other thing that bothered me is like when they're coming in with rebuttals, it's like they're sitting there saying, well, basically our flyer is inaccurate.
Yep.
Basically. So go fix your flyer. Like, so you're telling me
and why
that all
couldn't
of
that
this
have been done last week?
Been avoided if you just created a more accurate flyer. And now I feel like we all had our time wasted by this woman who is the director of the organization, who could have just made a more accurate flyer, it sounds like.
But that's not their intent. That's not what they wanted.
Well,
They
unless
wanted
what she
the
said
flyer.
wasn't true, and the flyer was exactly the type of
That's exactly what they
event
wanted.
that they planned to have.
Yep.
nobody double checked that flyer to see if that's what they wanted to say. I guess, that's that
So
incompetence right there or something. Do we need to have people fired? Because that's pretty
I'm not
incompetent if
going
that's the
to
case.
be fired.
I
I think
If you're
that.
that incompetent to say all ages compared to we're gonna have kids to
At
check
their
from.
organization,
Yeah. If you're
I
that
don't even, I think it's all
incompetent,
volunteers. It's not like
somebody's getting paid. It's not all
Yeah.
volunteers.
Democrats probably.
But
I do
hey,
have to
we'll
get
with
going,
that.
guys.
You don't have to take the
Okay.
volunteers.
Sorry. We've got the social here. Pizzas and beers until
It's
9 if
7:20. Right. You guys
or
you gotta go
drinks.
party
We have
it up.
drinks. All of them.
Okay. Me and
Yeah, at
Perry
the
will
Republican or
doing our
Friends of Coos
thoughts.
County Republicans headquarters every Wednesday, 7 and 9. Well, I'm going to reach out to Coos Health and Wellness because I believe that they should sponsor mocktails on this podcast, and they should be a featured partner. We should get mocktails. We should
I'm not
promote
okay with that,
sobriety.
Chris.
We can do it
I'm not
on
okay
every
with it.
show. We
That's
can
a waste
sip
of
little.
public money.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. And Rob should do it on his show, and he should be able to put the big Coos and Health and Wellness logo on his website that they are a featured partner for the Rob Taylor Report.
I just
I think
hope
it
to
makes
see
sense.
them, at a bare minimum, produce some flyers that actually reflect what they told the commissioners today.
Yeah, they won't.
And I hope that Coos Health
Sweep it
and
under
Wellness
the rug.
follows up, and maybe not. We'll see.
Well, this was interesting. I did not believe we would be able to talk for an hour and a half on this topic, but it's a good one. It exposed a lot of bullshit and hypocrisy over $200. $200.
It's just the tip of the iceberg, my friend.
Oh, for sure. No, you mentioned the Doge thing. Like, I'm 100% for that. But we just have to have the
from the
votes.
beginning. And it's
We
really
gotta have
just
the
about
votes.
having honest, transparent conversations.
That actually would be a good ballot initiative. We could put that on the ballot. I just saw my nails in the. I was gardening. That's why I have dirty nails, people.
It's kind of on brand for you.
There you go. Amazing early spring we're having, by the way, people. No, we should consider that for a ballot initiative for November to create like a Doge committee. I wonder if that's something we could articulate into a ballot initiative. That would be interesting.
I bet it is. It'd be really cool.
All right,
it'll be cool to look at what's working and do more of that.
Yes. A process audit and not just a better audit than what they normally do. Anyways, I gotta get going. Any final thoughts?
Don't even get me started. You guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy yourselves. Decompress with a non-alcoholic beverage, maybe.
Oh, I'm grabbing a beer. It's beer time.
No mocktails. So, but
Coos Health and Wellness, if you want to sponsor me, I won't say beer again. I'll say my non-alcoholic lager. Anyways, see everybody. See you next week.
Good night, everybody.